Emily Sinclair sat at her modest kitchen table, sunlight streaming through the window, casting a warm glow on her stack of job offers. It had been 6 months since she had moved out of her ex-boyfriend's apartment and into this quaint, albeit slightly worn, two-bedroom place. She had spent countless hours in this very spot, sipping coffee and contemplating her next steps. The breakup had been a turning point, a bittersweet ending that left her both vulnerable and emboldened. At 28, Emily had always considered herself pragmatic, focused on building her career in marketing. Her friends often teased her about her single-minded dedication to work, but after her relationship with Jake ended, she realized how essential it was to channel her energy into something productive. The dust had settled after their tumultuous split, and though she occasionally caught herself reminiscing about their late-night conversations and spontaneous road trips, she understood that those memories came with a heavy price, heartache and disillusionment. Jake had been charming and ambitious, yet the relationship had morphed into a cycle of arguments and misunderstandings. Their love story unraveled slowly. It began with small cracks, a late-night text that felt too friendly, an unreturned phone call that eventually widened into an impassable chasm. When they finally decided to part ways, it was more of an exhale than a dramatic farewell. They promised to stay friends, but the air between them grew heavy with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. Determined to reclaim her independence, Emily threw herself into self-care and professional development. She attended workshops, updated her resume, and networked fervently. After months of searching, she received an offer from a well-established marketing firm known for its innovative campaigns. The role was exactly what she needed, a chance to grow, learn, and prove that she could thrive outside the shadow of her previous relationship. As she prepared for her first day at the new job, Emily felt a mix of excitement and anxiety bubbling within her. It was a fresh start, a blank slate that promised new opportunities and connections. She envisioned herself collaborating with creative minds, brainstorming groundbreaking ideas, and finally stepping into the spotlight she had long desired. The past felt like a distant memory, far removed from her goals and aspirations. On the morning of her first day, Emily chose her outfit carefully, a tailored blazer paired with fitted trousers and a vibrant blouse that reflected her personality. As she stood before the mirror, she practiced a smile that conveyed confidence rather than uncertainty. With each passing moment, she felt more empowered, ready to embrace this new chapter. Arriving at the sleek office building, Emily was struck by its modern architecture and bustling atmosphere. Inside, the air buzzed with enthusiasm as colleagues exchanged greetings and shared ideas over steaming cups of coffee. She took a deep breath, reveling in the energy around her. It felt like stepping into a vibrant new world. Her supervisor welcomed her with open arms, introducing her to the team members who would be her colleagues. Each person seemed friendly and eager to collaborate, which soothed her nerves. Emily settled into her workspace, surrounded by colorful marketing materials and inspiring visuals that spoke to the firm's ethos. But just as she began to relax into her new environment, the day took an unexpected turn. As she glanced up from her laptop to observe the ongoing discussions around the conference table, the door swung open and in walked none other than Jake, her ex-boyfriend, now wearing a crisp suit and an expression that mirrored hers, shock. In that instant, time froze. Her heart raced as emotions swirled within her, surprise, disbelief, and an uncomfortable pang of nostalgia. This was not how she imagined starting anew. She had thought she had left him behind when she walked away from their shared life. But here he was, standing at the head of the table as if fate had conspired against her. Jake smiled awkwardly, his eyes scanning the room before landing on hers. For a moment, it felt as if the air thickened between them, coiling with memories both sweet and bitter. Emily's mind raced to process this unforeseen twist, a collision of past and present that threatened to unravel all that she had worked so hard to build. As Jake began discussing company strategy with an easy authority that felt all too familiar, Emily struggled to focus on his words. Instead, she wrestled with conflicting emotions, anger at the universe for throwing them together again and disappointment in herself for feeling even a flicker of affection amid the chaos. Little did she know that this unexpected reunion would set off a chain of events that would challenge everything she believed about closure and moving on. Emily leaned against the kitchen counter, staring into her cup of coffee as memories of her relationship with Jake flooded her mind. It felt surreal to recall how things had once seemed so perfect between them. They had met during college, both fresh-faced and full of dreams, sharing laughter over late-night study sessions and bonding over their mutual aspirations in the marketing field. Their chemistry had been undeniable, and in those early days, love felt like a buoy that lifted them above the mundane realities of life. But as time wore on, the cracks began to show. After graduating, they navigated the challenges of adulthood together, job searches, moving in together, and supporting one another through the ups and downs. Initially, their shared ambitions fueled their relationship. They worked as a team, each celebrating the other's successes. However, the pressures of life started to weigh heavily on them, revealing the underlying tensions that had been masked by infatuation. It was the small things that began to grate on Emily's patience. Jake's late nights at work turned into frequent absences. What she initially interpreted as dedication soon morphed into neglect. The moments they once cherished together became rare, overshadowed by his growing career ambitions and her increasing frustrations. Emily would spend weekends alone in their shared apartment, scrolling through social media or binge-watching shows, while Jake was out at networking events or working overtime. Each time he promised it would be different, the next weekend would be just for them. Her heart hoped for change, but hope turned increasingly into resignation. The tipping point came unexpectedly. One evening, Jake returned home later than usual, his phone buzzing incessantly on the table. He seemed distracted, lost in thought, a shadow of the partner she once knew. Emily could feel the distance between them grow as she watched him scroll through messages without sharing a single word about his day. Her attempts to reach out were met with half-hearted responses, and she began to sense that there were parts of his life he was unwilling to share. It wasn't long before she stumbled upon a text on his phone from a colleague, a friendly message meant to arrange drinks after work. But in her heart, it felt like more than just a casual invitation. It felt like a sign of something deeper. When she confronted him about it, Jake brushed it off as innocent and harmless, but the damage had already been done. The tension escalated into arguments that spiraled out of control. Emily accused him of being emotionally unavailable and prioritizing work over their relationship, while Jake countered that she was being overly dramatic and insecure. Over time, their once passionate discussions turned into bitter exchanges filled with accusations and resentment. The love that once blossomed between them wilted under the weight of unspoken fears and misguided expectations. They fell into a routine of silence punctuated by quarrels, each argument leaving a scar that further eroded their trust. Finally, after weeks of fighting and avoiding crucial conversations, Emily reached her breaking point. One evening, she packed a bag and left the apartment where they had built so many memories together. She needed space, both from him and from the suffocating atmosphere that now enveloped what had once felt like home. That night marked the end of their relationship as they knew it. Despite their promise to remain friends, neither could shake off the overwhelming heaviness between them. Jake attempted to reach out several times after her departure, sending texts filled with apologies and hopes for reconciliation. But Emily's heart was torn. She felt anger and sadness coiling within her whenever she thought of him. She wanted to believe that they could reconnect someday, but every attempt reminded her of all that had gone wrong. As days turned into weeks, Emily began to reclaim her sense of self, rediscovering passions and interests that had been sidelined during their relationship. She immersed herself in self-care and focused on developing her career aspirations. While the pain of the breakup lingered like a ghost hovering over her heart, she recognized how crucial it was to learn from this experience. The breakup had transformed her perspective on love and trust. No longer did she view relationships through rose-colored glasses. Instead, she approached love with caution, recognizing that vulnerability could lead to both joy and heartbreak. As she prepared for her new job and embraced this new chapter in her life, she vowed to prioritize herself and reclaim her independence. Little did she know then that those lessons would be put to the ultimate test when she found herself face-to-face with Jake again at the office, a twist of fate that would force her to confront not only their past but also her own evolving narrative of love and trust. Emily awoke early on her first day at the new marketing firm, a mix of excitement and nerves coursing through her. The sun filtered through her bedroom window, casting a golden hue across the walls, and for the first time in months, she felt a sense of hope blossoming within her. She had spent countless nights dreaming about a fresh start, a clean slate where she could redefine her identity both personally and professionally. Today was the day she would take that leap. After pouring herself a steaming cup of coffee, she slipped into her carefully chosen outfit, a fitted navy blazer paired with tailored trousers that accentuated her newfound confidence. Standing before the mirror, she practiced her smile, reminding herself of the ambitious woman she had set out to become. This job represented more than just employment. It was a chance to reclaim her narrative after the emotional turmoil of the past months. As she arrived at the sleek high-rise office, Emily was captivated by its modern architecture. Glass windows gleamed under the bright morning sun, and the lively buzz from coworkers mingling in the lobby invigorated her spirit. With each step toward the entrance, she felt the weight of her previous relationship lifting, replaced by the thrill of possibility and growth. Once inside, she was greeted by an inviting reception area adorned with vibrant artwork that sparked creativity. As she checked in, Emily noticed colleagues chatting animatedly over coffee in a nearby lounge. The atmosphere felt alive, filled with energy and enthusiasm, and it reminded her of why she had chosen marketing as her career path. Her supervisor, a warm woman named Lisa, welcomed her with open arms and introduced her to several team members who would be working alongside her. They seemed genuinely interested in making her feel comfortable, which soothed some of her nerves. Each handshake strengthened Emily's resolve. This was not just about starting a new job, but becoming part of a community that valued collaboration and innovation. Settling into her workspace, a cozy corner office adorned with motivational quotes, Emily took a moment to breathe deeply. She could see herself thriving here, immersed in brainstorming sessions and creative pitches that would ignite her passion for marketing once again. It was a space where fresh ideas could flourish and where she wouldn't be defined by her past but rather empowered by it. As the morning unfolded, Emily participated in orientation activities designed to familiarize newcomers with company culture and values. She found herself drawn to discussions about strategy and branding philosophies that aligned closely with her own perspectives. Her enthusiasm ignited when they revealed upcoming projects that promised opportunities for innovation and creative expression. During lunch with her new colleagues, Emily felt a sense of camaraderie blooming around their shared interests. Conversations flowed easily as they swapped stories about their experiences in marketing and shared their aspirations for their careers. It felt good to connect with people who understood the challenges and triumphs of their field, a stark contrast to the isolation that had crept into her previous relationship. The day progressed swiftly as Emily immersed herself in training sessions and team-building exercises that further solidified her sense of belonging. With each passing hour, she grew more excited about what lay ahead, campaigns waiting to be crafted, goals ready to be achieved, and friendships blossoming amidst shared professional pursuits. That evening, as she returned home after an exhilarating first day, Emily reflected on how far she had come since leaving Jake. The decision to break away from their tumultuous relationship had ignited a fire within her, a determination to create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. This new job felt like the culmination of that journey. It was an opportunity to establish herself not only as a marketing professional but also as a strong individual, rediscovering who she was outside of any previous confines. For weeks leading up to this moment, Emily had envisioned herself thriving in this role. Now that dream was tangible, a reality waiting for her to seize it fully. She envisioned herself presenting ideas confidently during meetings, forging connections with colleagues who appreciated her insights, and contributing to projects that would make waves in the industry. However, even amid this surge of optimism, there remained an undercurrent of anxiety about what tomorrow might bring, the chance encounter with Jake lurking in the back of her mind like an unwelcome ghost from the past. But tonight, as she settled into bed wrapped in fresh linens infused with lavender scent, Emily decided to banish those thoughts. Instead, she focused on all that lay ahead, the uncharted territory filled with promise that awaited her at dawn. This was not merely a new job, it represented Emily's commitment to personal growth and healing, a step toward forging a brighter future defined by resilience rather than regret. With determination etched into her heart, she drifted off to sleep, dreaming dreams filled with aspirations rather than fears, ready for whatever challenges awaited in this new chapter of her life. The morning had started seamlessly for Emily. She was eager to dive into her new role, reveling in the creative energy of the office and immersing herself in brainstorming sessions with her enthusiastic colleagues. The air buzzed with ideas, and for once she felt invigorated by the potential that lay ahead. But as the clock inched towards noon, an unexpected twist shattered the optimism she had carefully cultivated. Emily had just settled into her first team meeting when Lisa, her warm supervisor, stood up to introduce a special guest who would be joining them. With a gracious smile, Lisa said, "I'd like everyone to welcome our new department head, Jake Carson." As she spoke, Emily's heart dropped into her stomach. It was as if time froze. Her mind raced to process the truth behind that name, the name that had echoed through her thoughts during both joyous and painful moments of her past. When Jake walked through the door, dressed in a tailored suit that accentuated his tall frame, it felt like a scene from a movie where reality collided with fiction. He radiated confidence and authority, his presence commanded attention, but all Emily could manage was a mounting sense of disbelief. The room filled with applause and friendly chatter as Jake acknowledged his new team, but for Emily, everything around her faded into muffled sounds of chaos. Emotion surged within her, shock intertwined with confusion and a twinge of anxiety. How could this be happening? Hadn't she just escaped him? She struggled to focus on what was being said around her while grappling with her swirling emotions. Memories of laughter shared over coffee and late-night talks flooded back, alongside arguments that left echoes of resentment etched in her heart. It felt surreal, almost absurd. This was supposed to be a fresh start. As Jake greeted the team with his signature charming smile, he seemed unaware of Emily's stunned expression across the room. He looked poised and composed as he shared insights about upcoming projects and strategic goals for the department. Yet every word he spoke felt like a reminder of their history together, a history she thought she had put behind her. A knot tightened in Emily's chest as an avalanche of questions cascaded through her mind. What would working under him be like? Could they maintain professionalism despite their past? Would old feelings surface unexpectedly? She glanced at her colleagues who appeared genuinely engaged by Jake's words. They admired his leadership style without knowing the layers of tension lurking beneath their reconnection. Her internal conflict mounted. The desire to prove herself against the backdrop of familiar emotions clashed vehemently with apprehension about facing Jake every day. The meeting dragged on interminably. Although Jake led discussions with ease and expertise, Emily felt trapped in a whirlwind of disorientation. Every time their eyes met inadvertently across the conference table, a quick glance or an unintended lingering stare, her heart raced wildly. She fought against the instinctive pull toward nostalgia. Buried thoughts were resurfacing like tides lapping at the shore, challenging her resolve to move on. Finally, when the meeting concluded and employees dispersed to continue their tasks, she sat frozen in place for a moment longer than necessary. Then came Lisa's voice breaking through her foggy thoughts. "Emily, are you all right?" The concern pulled Emily back to reality. She managed an awkward smile as she nodded stiffly. "Yeah, I'm okay," she replied softly, though it felt far from the truth. As coworkers filtered out one by one, Jake remained at the front of the room alongside Lisa discussing logistics of project assignments. The sight sent chills racing down Emily's spine. Part of her longed to approach him, to confront this rush of unresolved feelings, but fear held her back like chains weighing down her feet. After what felt like hours trapped in indecision, Emily finally found the courage to leave the room and step into quieter hallways where some semblance of clarity began forming in her mind. This unexpected reunion wouldn't define her. She reminded herself that she was stronger now. She had rebuilt after their breakup. While deep breaths helped calm some nerves, Emily knew this would challenge not only her professional aspirations but also test her emotional resilience more than ever before. The very man who represented closure now stood at the forefront of her new beginnings. Determined not to let uncertainty overshadow this opportunity, she resolved that each day would be an exercise in growth, not merely within marketing strategies but also within herself. A journey toward understanding how best to navigate this new terrain alongside a ghost from the past made flesh. With renewed focus guiding each step forward, Emily braved fate's unpredictable twists, unaware that these next interactions would ultimately shape both their futures beyond anything they could anticipate. Emily's heart raced as she settled into her new routine, each day bringing fresh challenges and unexpected interactions with Jake. The office was filled with laughter, creativity, and ambition, a stark contrast to the emotional weight that loomed over her every time Jake entered the room. Despite her determination to remain professional, the air crackled with tension whenever their paths crossed. In team meetings, Jake exuded confidence and authority. He effortlessly commanded attention with his ideas and vision for upcoming projects, yet Emily found it increasingly difficult to concentrate when he spoke. Every time he turned to address her directly, emotions surged within her, an intoxicating mix of nostalgia and frustration. She couldn't help but remember the warmth of their earlier connection juxtaposed with the pain of their separation. Those memories felt like shards of glass littering an otherwise polished floor. She feared stepping on one at any moment. Conversing with Jake in the office was a delicate dance. Emily felt the need to maintain a facade of professionalism while grappling with the emotional undercurrents swirling around them. Whenever he requested her input on campaigns or project strategies, she instinctively felt herself retreating into a defensive posture, hesitant to share ideas, fearing he might interpret her words in the context of their failed relationship. Each time he smiled or acknowledged her contributions, a familiar flicker of affection would threaten to disrupt her carefully curated resolve. Her colleagues noticed something amiss. Glances exchanged between Emily and Jake sparked quiet inquiries and lingering curiosity. Lisa, always attuned to the dynamics within her team, began to subtly check in with Emily. "You seem a little off lately," she remarked one afternoon during a coffee break. Emily brushed it off with a smile, grateful for Lisa's concern but unwilling to divulge the complexities of her situation. As days turned into weeks, Emily struggled to reconcile her feelings of admiration for Jake as a colleague with the hurt lingering from their past. One afternoon, while working late on a presentation, she overheard him discussing strategies with another team member. His laughter bubbled through the office walls, a sound so familiar yet now pierced with a bittersweet edge. At that moment, she realized how much she missed the ease of their former relationship, how he could make her laugh even during stressful times. However, beneath those moments of warmth lay unresolved tensions. Their previous arguments echoed in her mind, times when they failed to communicate effectively, when love shifted into something heavier and darker. Emily wondered if those struggles would seep back into their professional interactions, threatening to derail both their careers. The pressure reached a boiling point during a critical campaign presentation meeting. As Jake set the stage for their team's proposal to clients, Emily felt the all-too-familiar knot tightening in her stomach. This was where they had once flourished together in their relationship. Her breath quickened as she sensed his unyielding gaze resting on her during key moments for feedback. When it was finally Emily's turn to present her portion of the project, she steadied herself and took a deep breath, pushing aside everything else swirling in her mind. But as she spoke, she caught Jake's eyes, familiar pools of warmth, betraying remnants of their former intimacy that sent confusion racing through her heart. She stumbled slightly over her words, unsure if her errors stemmed from nerves or lingering emotions making their presence felt once again. After the presentation, while others congratulated the team on their hard work, tensions between Emily and Jake simmered beneath the surface. Stepping into the hallway after their clients left, Emily felt compelled to address what hung heavily in the air between them. Taking a deep breath, she approached him cautiously. "Jake," she started hesitantly, "can we talk?" He turned towards her, an unreadable expression etched across his face. "Sure," he replied simply, though his eyes searched hers as if assessing just how much weight they could both bear. They stepped away from prying eyes, but not before feeling concerned murmurs ripple through colleagues who were all too aware of their shared history. As they found a private corner away from curious ears, Emily knew this conversation would be pivotal. It was time to confront not only their past but also how it reverberated through their current roles at the company. "Things are different now," she began cautiously. "I want to be able to work here without feeling." "Without feeling what?" he interrupted gently but firmly. He appeared earnest and attentive but also cautious not to push too hard. "Complicated," she finished quietly, looking down at her shoes as if seeking comfort from the polished floor beneath them. Jake sighed deeply, an understanding flicker in his eyes. "I know what you mean," he said slowly. "It's challenging for both of us." Silence stretched between them as they both wrestled internally with emotions neither had fully acknowledged before this moment. Emily sensed an unspoken agreement. They needed to establish boundaries that would allow them to thrive not only as colleagues but also as individuals trying to move forward. With that mutual understanding hanging delicately between them, Emily felt a weight lift slightly off her shoulders. Perhaps this was merely the beginning of navigating this complex new reality together. A struggle that could lead either to healing or deeper entanglement. As they stood facing each other amidst high-stakes corporate dynamics and lingering feelings of love lost, they realized they would need to tread carefully, competing against not only external pressures but also shadows from within that threatened professional progress amid personal history. Emily took a deep breath as she entered the office on another Monday morning, determined to approach this week with renewed focus. The conversations shared with Jake lingered in her mind. His acknowledgement of their past and the need for boundaries had offered her a flicker of hope. Yet, each day brought new challenges, compelling her to carefully navigate the emotional landscape that lay ahead. To cope with the complexities of working closely with Jake, Emily implemented a few strategies aimed at maintaining her professionalism while managing the stress that their interactions sometimes triggered. The first thing she did was revitalize her workspace. She adorned her desk with vibrant plants and motivational quotes that inspired positivity and resilience. Each time she glanced at them, she was reminded of her commitment to personal growth and would ground herself in the present moment. During team meetings, Jake's presence remained magnetic, and Emily found herself battling an internal storm whenever he spoke directly to her. Aware of the anxiety bubbling within her, she adopted a technique she had learned in therapy: mindfulness breathing. Whenever she felt overwhelmed by nostalgia or feelings of frustration, she would discreetly count her breaths, slowly inhaling through her nose for a count of 4, holding it for 4 counts, and exhaling through her mouth for 6 counts. This practice helped anchor her thoughts, preparing her to articulate her ideas clearly instead of succumbing to emotion-laden memories. In moments when tension escalated or silence lingered between them after a meeting, Emily made a conscious effort to redirect that energy into productivity. She would bury herself in work after encounters that left her frazzled, pouring herself into project tasks and collaborative efforts with other team members who were eager to brainstorm ideas. By immersing herself in creative pursuits, she could temporarily distract from lingering thoughts about Jake or their complicated past. Outside of work hours, Emily sought solace in her favorite activities. She returned to yoga classes that had once brought peace during turbulent times. Each session reminded her to stay grounded and connected with herself. On weekends, she explored local parks or cafes where she could indulge in quiet moments alone with a book or write reflections in a journal about her progress. These simple joys helped establish balance amidst emotional upheaval. In addition to self-care practices, Emily reached out to friends who provided support and perspective during this tumultuous time. They welcomed late-night conversations over takeout dinners where they'd share laughter and stories about daily life, reminders that life continued beyond the walls of the office. Friends became a sanctuary where Emily could release pent-up feelings without fear of judgment while also offering accountability during moments when old emotions threatened to resurface. However, no matter how well she prepared or how efficiently she coped, there were days when emotions seeped through cracks in her defenses unexpectedly. One afternoon during lunch break, Emily overheard Jake discussing his recent travels with colleagues. The way he animatedly recounted experiences made memories flood back unbidden. She recalled road trips they had taken together, the carefree adventures that felt like an eternity ago, and felt a pang of longing mixed with sorrow. It was moments like these that tested Emily's resolve more than anything else. To combat this wave of nostalgia, she quickly excused herself from the lunchroom and stepped outside for fresh air. Standing under the shade of a large oak tree lining the office grounds, she closed her eyes and let the breeze wash over her face as if cleansing away those unwelcome thoughts. Each gust brought clarity, a reminder that while memories may linger, they did not dictate who she was today. When stepping back inside afterward, Emily carried an air of determination forged from coping strategies and self-reflection. As days turned into weeks filled with collaborative projects alongside Jake, she focused on finding common grounds professionally rather than dwelling on their shared history personally. They began exchanging banter during meetings again. It wasn't quite like before but felt charged with shared respect for each other's professional capabilities rather than just remnants of intimacy clouding judgment. Slowly but surely, those glances at one another became less threatening. They transformed into nods of encouragement rather than haunting reminders. While navigating these intricate dynamics felt daunting at times, something shifted within Emily as well. Alongside managing stress through coping mechanisms came renewed confidence born from facing challenges head-on rather than shying away from them altogether. Though they stood on opposing sides regarding emotions long buried beneath layers of unresolved feelings, their paths had crossed once more. Not as lovers but as colleagues striving toward success together in uncharted territory filled with both promise and uncertainty awaiting discovery at every turn. With each passing day dawning anew filled with opportunities for growth both professionally and personally, Emily understood one truth above all: coping wasn't about erasing what once was. It was nurturing what remained resilient within as life continued unfolding, its complex tapestry woven intricately among choices yet made before them, both moving forward into brighter futures ahead, intertwined forevermore through memories shared in time gone by, but alive still ever so present, now transformed. Anew amid newfound aspirations blossoming forth like spring flowers breaking ground after winter's grasp, slowly loosening its hold once more toward brighter days ahead. After a few weeks of navigating the complex dynamics at work, Emily found herself increasingly leaning on her support system. It was comforting to have friends who understood the emotional turmoil of her situation with Jake and offered encouragement when the days turned heavy. These connections became her lifeline, grounding her through the turbulence that accompanied her daily interactions with her ex. One Friday evening, Emily met up with her close friend Sarah for dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant. As they settled into their booth, the familiar sense of garlic and herbs filled the air, providing a warm ambience that felt like a hug after a long week. Sarah, perceptive and wise, noticed that Emily's laughter didn't quite reach her eyes. "Something's still bothering you," Sarah said as she twirled her pasta around her fork. "You haven't mentioned Jake much lately. How are you really doing?" Emily sighed, letting the tension escape from her body as she ran a hand through her hair. "It's just working with him is harder than I thought it would be," she confessed, picking at her risotto. "I'm constantly caught between wanting to prove myself and feeling like our history looms over everything." Sarah set down her fork and focused intently on Emily. "You need to confront those feelings instead of bottling them up," she advised gently. "It's not just about your work dynamic, it's about healing from the past. Emily nodded, absorbing her friend's words. I know I have to address it eventually. But every time I think I've made progress, something reminds me of all the unresolved issues we had. It's frustrating. Talk to him, Sarah urged, leaning in closer. It might be uncomfortable, but being open could help you both move forward professionally and personally. You can't let it fester forever. That evening, fueled by Sarah's encouragement, Emily felt emboldened to take small steps toward confronting the lingering emotions tied to Jake. Their dinner ended with laughter and shared desserts, just what she needed to lift her spirits before plunging back into the complexities of their workplace dynamic. The next day, as Emily entered the office determined to take control of her situation, she overheard a few colleagues chatting excitedly about an upcoming team-building retreat planned for next weekend. Despite the anxious knot in her stomach at the prospect of spending more time around Jake, she decided to embrace this opportunity as a chance to strengthen relationships with other colleagues while testing her own limits in a less formal environment. That afternoon, during an impromptu coffee break with Lisa and another colleague, Maya, they began discussing plans for the retreat. Lisa smiled at Emily and said, "You should definitely join. It's a perfect way for us all to bond outside of work tasks." Maya chimed in, "And it'll help take the edge off any awkwardness you might be feeling with Jake around. Plus, we're all in it together." Emily appreciated their support but felt conflicted about how interacting with Jake beyond office walls might unfold. What if it complicates things even more? She asked, hesitating. Or it could clarify things. Maya asserted enthusiastically. Being on neutral ground can help you both see each other differently. That night, Emily weighed her options after reflecting on her conversation with Sarah earlier. She realized engaging with Jake in this context could serve as a catalyst for addressing their unresolved emotions without the pressure they faced in day-to-day work life. As the retreat weekend approached, Emily prepared herself mentally for whatever might occur. She carefully planned logistics for activities and even packed an energetic playlist to keep spirits high during downtime. Once again, her close circle validated how astute and resilient she was becoming. As Emily arrived at the retreat venue, a rustic lodge nestled in the woods, she felt a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through her veins. Surrounded by nature's tranquil beauty softened any anxiety as the group settled into their rooms and got comfortable over welcome drinks on the terrace. Throughout the weekend, team-building exercises pushed them outside their comfort zones but also encouraged camaraderie that broke down barriers between colleagues, including those between Emily and Jake. On Saturday morning, as they participated in trust-building activities involving blindfolds and verbal guidance from teammates, Emily sensed palpable energy shift within their group dynamic. During lunch that day, seated next to Jake at a picnic table under towering pine trees, Emily dared to engage him casually about their experiences at work rather than reverting to old narratives filled with emotional baggage. As they shared laughs while reminiscing about quirky moments during presentations, glimpses of familiarity flickered back and forth, the playful banter reminiscent of their happier times began re-emerging. Feeling more relaxed after spending quality time alongside each other outside formal settings eased some tension between them. After lunch, still riding on that newfound comfort level, Emily resolved now was an opportune moment for honest dialogue. Later, as they took a walk along a serene trail away from prying ears of teammates engaged in other group activities, she said quietly but firmly, "Jake," he turned toward her with curiosity evident in his eyes. "I think I need to confront everything from before so we can move forward here." Her voice trembled slightly with vulnerability but matched by determination to communicate clearly. Jake met her gaze earnestly. "I appreciate your honesty," he replied softly. "I think we both need to address our past if we want what's best for not just our professional dynamic but ourselves too." With those encouraging words exchanged amid nature's embrace where possibilities felt endless, they took each step together informed by productivity grounded upon understanding from first premises rather than remaining ensnared within shadows past. Encouraging each other as friends committed fully towards healing pathways unfolding ahead yet uncharted. As they both breathed deeper amid shared whispers vibrating threads of interconnected lives, it seemed surrounding trees held more significance beyond scenery. They formed pillars supporting forward momentum flowing freely toward brighter futures rested soundly beneath pasts letting go unfolding gradually into beauty emerging forth once again anew after winter's long wait slowly thawed sunlit warmth breaking through shadows cast, fading behind gradually as clarity returned finally ahead. blossoming brighter days waiting patiently throughout life's journey awaiting discovery both present now yet forever evolving through choices unmade previously transforming destinies shared moving onward onto fresh terrains created anew together collectively rewriting. History infused deeply alive forevermore engendering hope returning as timeless bond renewed diffused alike across spaces eternal stretching infinitely within lifetime freshly imagined completely intertwining destinies reunited. Forging spark through sweetness nurturing lives leading inevitably fabulous fountainhead newly found merging past naming brilliant future yet dawning distant horizons combined resonating harmoniously woven together ineffably greater twinned eternally anew. As the afternoon sun cast dappled shadows through the trees, Emily felt a blend of apprehension and anticipation coursing through her veins. The team-building retreat had fostered moments of genuine connection with her colleagues, but now she stood on the precipice of a different stage, a conversation with Jake that could unravel or mend the history that lingered like a soft echo between them. After their earlier discussions during the retreat, Emily recognized that this was the moment to address everything they had both carried for far too long. They walked along a secluded trail, away from the laughter and camaraderie of their teammates participating in games and activities. The air was cool yet charged, much like the emotions they both harbored. "Jake," she began tentatively, her voice barely above a whisper, "I think we need to talk." He turned to face her, an unreadable expression etched on his features. "About what's been happening between us?" He leaned against a moss-covered tree, arms crossed over his chest, signaling both openness and defense. Emily took a deep breath, trying to muster the courage swirling inside her. "Yeah," she replied, searching for the right words. "We've been tiptoeing around our past for weeks now. I can't pretend it doesn't affect how we work together." At that moment, Jake's gaze softened slightly and he nodded in understanding. "I feel it too. Every time I look at you in meetings, I see someone I used to know intimately, yet here we are, navigating this new reality." His honesty struck a chord within her. It was as if he had peeled back layers of guardedness she had built since their breakup. "It's confusing," she admitted, feeling vulnerability wash over her like a wave. "I want to be professional and focus on my job, but old feelings creep back in." A silence fell between them but felt heavy with shared understanding rather than discomfort. Jake pushed off from the tree and took a step closer, the physical distance diminishing mirrored the emotional barriers they both needed to dismantle. "I'm sorry for how things ended between us. It's been hard for me too," he confessed, looking down at his shoes before meeting her gaze again. "I never wanted our relationship to turn into whatever this is now." "That makes two of us," Emily replied softly, realizing the depth of their uncharted territory was even greater than she had initially thought. "I spent so much time convincing myself that moving on meant forgetting everything we shared, and it just doesn't work that way." Jake's expression shifted as he listened intently, encouraging her to continue. "We were good together before life got complicated," she said slowly, recalling late-night conversations filled with dreams and laughter that once defined them. "But there were also misunderstandings and resentment as we grew apart." "It's normal to grow apart in relationships," Jake acknowledged. "But I wish I'd done better at communicating. Maybe we wouldn't have reached that breaking point." Feeling emboldened by his willingness to engage honestly, Emily pressed further. "That's part of what's so frustrating. So many things left unsaid between us led to assumptions and pain." A knot formed in her throat as she let herself reflect on nights spent lying awake wondering what had gone wrong. "Do you think we can find resolution?" Jake asked, his brow furrowing slightly. "I don't know," Emily admitted candidly. "But I believe we owe it to ourselves to try." The quiet rustling of leaves filled the space between them as they stood amid unfinished discussions from the past. The unease that had long permeated their interactions seemed to dissolve slowly into something more constructive, a fragile hope. "What do you suggest?" Jake asked. "Let's define clear boundaries moving forward, not just at work but also personally," Emily proposed cautiously. "We should give each other room to grow but without circling back into old patterns where emotions overshadow professionalism." "I agree," he replied earnestly. "If we're going to be colleagues again, let's do it right." With those words exchanged under the sheltering boughs of trees swaying gently in the breeze, both felt lighter, somehow less encumbered by unresolved history. The conversation flowed freely after that revelation. They spoke about how they could support one another as colleagues while still fostering an atmosphere where unresolved feelings didn't infiltrate their day-to-day tasks. As twilight descended softly upon the horizon while casting warm hues across their surroundings, their souls blossomed anew with clarity regarding where they stood amidst the complexities of intertwined lives once shaped by love now transformed into something patiently unfurling towards friendship. Each step forward taken together portraying promise underneath every shared laugh, both realizing healing would come gradually but steadily moving forward towards something brighter laid out before them. Still waiting to fully emerge from shadows long cast behind. With dialogue unveiled amid nature's embrace leading them onward through uncertainties lingering ahead, Emily and Jake understood this pivotal moment wouldn't erase their past but rather create opportunities for understanding. Transforming hurt into collaborative strength. Cultivating resilience forged from confronting vulnerable truths together forevermore intertwined as destinies reshaped anew along blended horizons awaiting discovery yet unfolding continuously evermore brightly moving toward. Futures crafted collectively ahead filled endlessly with endless possibilities anew reflecting light refracting joy along pathways seemingly distant yet already here revealing beauty born anew through candid conversations redefining identities ultimately. Merging souls once flickering now illuminating richly transformed emerged significantly toward harmonious developments created anew forevermore. In the weeks following their pivotal conversation during the retreat, Emily found herself in an unexpected period of introspection and growth. The clarity she gained from addressing her feelings with Jake marked a turning point, allowing her to delve deeper into her own emotions and desires. With the weight of unaddressed issues lifted, she could finally focus on what it meant to redefine her identity both personally and professionally. Emily had always been someone who valued structure and routine, but now she felt encouraged to embrace spontaneity, a break from the rigid pathways that had once seemed necessary. She discovered new hobbies and passions that she had previously neglected. Yoga sessions transformed into moments of liberation as she moved through poses with intention, leaving behind remnants of past heartaches on her mat along with stress from work. Unwanted memories intertwined with feelings of longing still occasionally crept into her consciousness when least expected, heart-stirring reminders like melodies from their shared playlists or images from vacations they took together. Yet each encounter became an opportunity for Emily to practice forgiveness, not just toward Jake but also towards herself. She recognized that holding on to resentment hindered her growth. During one quiet evening spent journaling at a nearby coffee shop, surrounded by the aroma of freshly brewed espresso, Emily reflected on what love truly meant to her. She poured out thoughts that had previously been entangled. Love was not merely about holding on to someone, it was also learning to let go when necessary. This insight struck a chord deep within, a reminder that the love she shared with Jake would always hold significance in its own right, even if it no longer fit within the framework of her life today. Over time, Emily began reclaiming pieces of herself lost amid their complicated history. She established friendships within her workplace that stretched beyond mere camaraderie. Real connections blossomed during team lunches and brainstorming sessions where laughter ignited ideas into existence rather than simply circling around old patterns entwining Jake's presence alone. One bright Saturday afternoon, as spring breathed life into the world around her with vivid colors blooming everywhere, Emily met up with Sarah at a local art festival. Each booth showcased creativity and passion, vibrant paintings adorned walls while musicians filled the air with melodic tunes harmonizing beautifully against sunlight streaming down. "Look at this piece!" Sarah exclaimed enthusiastically as she pointed toward an impressive canvas splashed with bold colors that seemed to dance off its surface. "It's so expressive." Emily smiled brightly at her friend's exuberance, feeling invigorated by this energy enveloping them both amid artistic expressions unveiling raw human emotion all around. They strolled through galleries together, discussing how art often mirrored personal journeys, the struggles faced alongside triumphs achieved. Inspired by this experience, Emily felt compelled to explore another new endeavor. Painting lessons sparked within her further curiosity about self-expression through various mediums beyond writing and reflection alone. In these moments, connecting back with herself led Emily towards defining what healthy relationships should embody for future endeavors in life post-Jake. She longed for partnerships founded not solely on passion but built upon mutual respect and open communication. Cornerstones anchoring any meaningful bond nurtured moving forward along veering pathways anew framed brightly underneath limitless skies extending forth vital opportunities awaiting adventures carved individually. With each passing day transformed into something alive again. The world she ventured into felt more expansive than ever before, filled now with possibilities growing richer, stirring potential ahead, offering landscapes yet unexplored, promising joys kingly woven throughout fabric destined indeed continuously awaiting. Rediscovery, nurturing resilience forged deeply rooted under heartfelt intentions, guiding footsteps wisely paved forward onward, becoming truer selves infused, harmoniously cultivated. profoundly evolving gracefully wherever life would lead next, born forth beyond shadows, past intermingling light, reflecting hope, magnifying brighter tomorrows, yet promising eternally renewing amidst tranquil canvases painted vibrant anew, living truth. Illuminated, unearthing destiny, intertwining, remarkably creatively crafted, unfolding eternal paths, journey spiraling upward, evolving endlessly, becoming luminous, seasons changing, calling forth everlasting possibilities, manifesting futures awaited, resolutely framing lives artfully designed, forevermore interconnected, vividly discovered, living truth, creating futures, defining souls, coming alive, once more nurtured, embracing beautifully unique intricacies, shared infinite experiences awaiting, burgeoning vibrantly amidst wondrous ventures penned ahead, intertwined, blossoming merrily, calling forth harmonious exploration, rewriting stories yet told, remembering love anew, flourishing, recognizing strength, nestled firmly, knitting futures boundless, wholly alive, reimagined, resplendently becoming who they are meant to be during life's endless metamorphosis, transforming answers, leading forward, continually enriching destinies, intertwining eternally anew. The following weeks were transformative for both Emily and Jake as they gradually adjusted to their new working relationship. With the boundaries they had established after their pivotal conversation, the tension that once hovered in the air began to dissipate, replaced by a newfound professionalism and mutual respect. Emily approached her work with renewed enthusiasm, channeling her personal growth into creative projects that showcased her talents. Jake, too, appeared invigorated by the shift. He became more supportive of his team and often sought Emily's input on important decisions, a clear sign of his evolving perception of their dynamic. Their interactions were now characterized by genuine collaboration rather than the emotional baggage that had previously clouded their exchanges. One afternoon, as they sat together in a meeting room brainstorming ideas for an upcoming marketing campaign, Emily felt a palpable sense of camaraderie with Jake. The collaborative spirit enveloping their work felt refreshing. It was proof that both could thrive without being ensnared by past grievances. "Your idea about using user-generated content is brilliant," Jake remarked, looking at her with admiration and expression that made Emily momentarily forget their history and embrace the present moment fully. She smiled, realizing how far they had come since their earlier struggles and misunderstandings. Changes also unfolded beyond work as new friendships blossomed within the office community. Emily found herself forming close bonds with her colleagues, including Maya and Lisa, who became her confidants and support system at work. They celebrated her successes and lifted each other during challenging times, further reinforcing Emily's belief in the power of healthy relationships. One sunny Friday morning, Sarah visited the office, bringing coffee and pastries to celebrate Emily's recent project success. Over steaming cups and warm croissants, Emily shared anecdotes from work and the evolving relationship she had with Jake. "I think we're actually becoming friends, or at least allies," she remarked with a hint of disbelief. "I knew you could do it," Sarah replied proudly, leaning forward with enthusiasm. "It shows how much you've grown. You're handling this so well." As time rolled on, Emily continued to reflect on her journey of self-discovery. The clarity she achieved through confronting her past allowed her to embrace vulnerability in healthier ways. Rather than viewing love solely through the lens of romantic connections, she learned to appreciate love in all its forms, from friendships to professional bonds, and understood that forgiveness was a gift she gave herself as much as it was for others. But despite these positive strides, there remained an underlying connection between Emily and Jake that neither could fully ignore. On one particularly vibrant afternoon after work, they found themselves walking side by side towards their cars in the company parking lot, a casual encounter that felt almost surreal. "I never expected to be able to work alongside you like this," Jake admitted lightly, glancing sideways at her as they stepped into the glow of twilight. "Neither did I," Emily replied, chuckling softly. "But I'm glad we figured things out." Jake paused before opening his car door, a thoughtful expression crossed his face. "You know," he hesitated slightly before continuing, "I've realized that what we had wasn't just lost, it's shaped who I am today." Feeling emboldened by his vulnerability, Emily replied earnestly, "And I think it's okay for us to acknowledge that while still moving forward." They shared a knowing look, two individuals who hadn't only navigated pain but emerged transformed from that shared experience. In those moments standing outside under fading sunlight, a blend of warmth surrounding them, Emily felt a flicker of something old yet newly defined surfacing again, connection without obligation, appreciation without revival of past patterns. "I'll always care about you," Jake said sincerely before stepping back slightly. "But I think we both know what we need from each other now. And I think that's enough," Emily affirmed softly, feeling lighter than she had in years. As they exchanged smiles marked by acceptance rather than longing, it became clear that closure didn't necessarily mean severing ties. Instead, it was about crafting new definitions of connection infused with mutual understanding. Moving forward from here would not confine either one within previously established expectations but open doors wide for possibilities uncharted still ahead, all awaiting exploration together and apart alike, infused endlessly with empathy rooted strongly into reconnections experienced tempered through trials faced bravely head-on. Forging pathways anew, reflective through lives intertwined, somehow colliding elegantly once again, heading into brighter futures illuminated now through shared experiences defined by growth, forevermore blossoming richly woven throughout boundless opportunities, flourishing beautifully along journeys redefined, ever increasingly intertwined destinies flourishing forth, shape uniquely, nurturing resilience wherever each path may lead onward into astonishing tomorrows, yet unveiling truth reverberating eternally onward. As Emily sat in her favorite corner of the cafe, sipping a warm cup of chamomile tea, she reflected on the whirlwind journey of the past few months. The sunlight poured through the windows, casting a gentle glow that felt like a promise of new beginnings. She took a deep breath, letting the comforting aroma envelop her as she considered how far she had come since stepping into that vibrant office filled with both excitement and uncertainty. Navigating her work life alongside Jake had initially seemed daunting, fraught with the emotional complexities of their shared history. Yet the experience had forced her to confront not only the remnants of their past but also the depths of her own emotions. Through their candid conversations and the establishment of clear boundaries, she had learned valuable lessons about herself, about love, forgiveness, and resilience. Emily realized that healing wasn't just about moving on, it was also about acknowledging the love they once shared and understanding how it shaped her. She came to see that love could exist without possession, that it could be transformed into friendship and mutual respect. This realization opened her heart, allowing her to forgive not only Jake for their past misunderstandings but also herself for the ways she had clung to hurt. She felt gratitude for the supportive friends who stood by her side, encouraging her to explore new avenues of personal growth. Sarah's unwavering belief in her strength had been particularly grounding, reminding Emily that it was okay to lean on others during challenging times. The connections she formed at work were equally enriching. Sharing laughs and ideas with colleagues like Maya and Lisa helped solidify her sense of belonging within the team. With each passing day, Emily embraced spontaneity, pursuing activities that filled her with joy. She attended painting classes that ignited her creativity and offered an outlet for self-expression beyond words. As she brushed vibrant colors onto canvas, she found herself channeling emotions that once felt heavy into something beautiful and transformative. As she reflected on these changes, Emily set intentions for the future, both in her career and personal relationships. She envisioned her career as a journey filled with possibilities rather than rigid expectations. She wanted to continue pushing boundaries creatively while fostering collaborations rooted in transparency and respect. Having experienced firsthand the power of effective communication with Jake, she recognized its importance in all areas of her life. In terms of personal relationships, Emily resolved to cultivate connections based on mutual support and open dialogue. She wanted to surround herself with people who encouraged her growth while allowing vulnerability, relationships that could flourish without being overshadowed by past patterns or fears. The evening sky began to darken as she finished her tea and Emily glanced outside at the world bustling with life. She felt a sense of peace settle within her, a testament to how far she had come since that tumultuous chapter with Jake. Their relationship may have changed form, but it served as a catalyst for her evolution, propelling her toward a more authentic version of herself. With renewed clarity, Emily stood up, leaving a tip on the table before heading out into the cool night air. She felt lighter, as if shedding layers of doubt and insecurity with each step she took. Embracing this transformation was exhilarating. She no longer feared the unknown but welcomed it as an opportunity for discovery. As she walked home under a canopy of stars glimmering high above, Emily vowed to continue nurturing this sense of possibility in all aspects of her life. She would honor her past while remaining open to whatever lay ahead, a journey filled with learning, love, and growth waiting patiently just around the corner. With hope lighting her path forward, Emily felt ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited her, confident in her ability to forge new connections rooted in understanding while cherishing memories that had shaped who she was today. The future held promise, and for the first time in a long while, she felt truly excited about what was to come, a bright tapestry woven from experiences yet lived and stories still waiting to be told.